Okay, I'm standing here today in front of my Winnebago trailer. It's a micro mini. 2 words and they both mean small. But hey, I wanted a small trailer and I wanted something quality. So I thought Winnebago, that's an age-old name with good quality. How can I go wrong with that? Well, I couldn't have been more wrong. This trailer was $25,000 brand new. It's a 2018 model. So today I'm going to go over 50 problems with my 2-year-old Winnebago trailer. Now, it's not like we lived in it full time. This thing spent most of the time sitting in storage, and we only used it occasionally. Yet we still had over 50 problems. I had to whittle it down to 50 for this video. So here we go. So one day we had the trailer plugged in, the little light outside I'm making a video here. And this little indicator light was on, but we had no power throughout the entire trailer. Incredibly, I called Winnebago because there was no manual with the trailer, and they don't make a manual. So it took us quite some time, days, to figure out that this little switch right here, on one of the many sockets that didn't work, has to be reset in case there's a power spike. Would have been nice to know, Winnebago. The trailer comes with a nice spare tire, but no lug wrench. And because we didn't have an instruction manual, we had to take one of the lug nuts off with a crescent wrench and bring it into an auto parts store to buy this lug wrench. The mattress began sagging after only 2 weeks of use, so we bought the cheapest one on Amazon, which works much better. The trailer began leaking in the rain heavily in 2 places, here where my books are, and over here by the mattress, getting the mattress wet that we just bought. Thanks a lot, Winnebago. So there is a safety cable that goes from this little module here on the trailer, and it hooks onto the back of your bumper here. And the idea is if the trailer comes off the hitch, it'll pull the cable and it'll activate the brakes on the trailer, bringing it to a stop. However, the cable rusted and broke. Not much of a safety feature, is it, if it just breaks on its own with no tension. These 2 burners came unscrewed and fell over, so I had to take the whole stove top off, remove it, and screw them back in. There's a nice firewall on the back of the stove, so that heat from the oven comes up here, or heat from the burners goes to the back wall. It doesn't get burnt. But they didn't put a firewall over here, so this burner burnt this wall. Nice big hole in it. We had to put up the tile. The bathroom was another fun little project. We had not 1, not 2, but 3 different problems causing water leaking in the bathroom out onto the trailer floor. This hose, which feeds water to the toilet, was cut at a 45-degree angle, so water was leaking out the bottom. Here in the shower, there was no grout around the edges, so the water just went through the cracks and onto the bathroom floor and in the trailer. This toilet was defective, and Winnebago knew about it, but we didn't get the notification, and the warranty period free replacement expired, so we had to spend $300 on a new toilet. These hoses were made several inches too short, so they had to be bent too aggressively, and they both cracked on the ends, leaking propane. Had to be replaced with longer ones. The propane switching valve went bad and had to be replaced. The refrigerator has no thermostat control, so it randomly freezes vegetables and sodas. Even when the water tank is full, this water pump will often run continuously and won't stop till you press and hold down the toilet flush for a few seconds. The blinds on the kitchen window broke only after a few uses, so we had to replace it with this custom-made pull-down shade. The battery cable wires came loose from the battery terminal clamps because they were not properly crimped. There were 2 metal clamps like this holding up the table, one here and one here. They both broke. Made of metal so thin I could bend them with my hands, and so the entire dinette fell over. So we had to bolt it to the wall. The screen door latch broke, so we fixed it with epoxy. The electric space heater worked twice and then died, and it's still dead, much like my faith in Winnebago quality. The switch on the propane space heater never worked. I had to take it apart and fix it. The dinette window won't close all the way, and you have to go outside and push it shut. And even after you do, there's a huge space on the right-hand side where bugs and mosquitoes get in. The screens all had huge gaps where bugs and mosquitoes could get in, so I had to put black silicone around all the screens. In any hidden space you don't see underneath the dinette seats, behind the kitchen cabinets, you'll find a lot of construction garbage just left in there. Nails, staples, wire fragments, sawdust, just garbage. This is underneath the 2 kitchen drawers. I've got most of it cleaned out, but it's just sloppiness on Winnebago's part. The outside metal parts and screws all began rusting after the first year, so I use a lot of this. This shelf in the bathroom sink was fixed to this area and this wall, but nothing in the back, so it flexed horribly, and we had to put some epoxy in the back. The black water and gray water tanks almost always read full, even when they're empty. The plastic ring around the roof vent started coming off, so I had to epoxy it back on. As you can see, I didn't do too good of a job, but it held better than Winnebago's job. The light over the stove started flickering and finally went out due to Winnebago's faulty wiring. A new bulb did nothing. These two switches are reversed. The outside switch controls the inside light, and the inside switch controls the outside light. Nice job, Winnebago. This stereo speaker is blown. I'm sure there must be some way to change the time on this clock, but 33 years as an electrical engineer just isn't enough knowledge to figure it out on my own. Another thing that a manual might help with, Winnebago. Every time it rains, this thing fills with water, and when you open this cover, all the water pours out. This awning has no rain guard over it, so every time it rains, the awning gets soaked all the way through to the inner roll, and it stays wet for weeks unless you extend it. As you can see, it already looks like it's about 20 years old instead of 2. I plugged this solar panel into the solar-ready charging port and killed 2 batteries. That's because solar panels put out a battery voltage higher than what the batteries can handle, and you need a solar controller. Apparently, it's not really solar-ready. Another thing a manual would have saved me some time and money with, Winnebago. This is one of my favorite things that Winnebago did. We call it the stabbing window because it opens easily enough, but if your head or feet are by there and you barely touch it, it stabs at you. Another great safety feature from Winnebago. This outdoor shower had a key lock there which froze and had to be drilled out and replaced with a normal latch. The fuse box tends to open whenever you're driving, but when you want to open it, the storage under the bed has a lock on one side, but on the other side it had just a latch. We put a lock there, but as you can see, with that one locked and this one unlocked, you can just pull this open, put your hand under there and rip the whole thing off. Not much of a security feature. And the latch and the lock were very difficult to open because these things weren't properly installed. We had to bend them a bit to get it to fit. Trim around the storage doors rotted and came off. We had to glue this back on. The doors and cabinets often fly open while driving and things fall out into the floor because there's just a standard latch. There's no way to secure them, no lock. Now, even when the doors do stay closed while driving, you still get food bombs because there is no rail guarding the things from falling off. Except in the bathroom. For some strange reason, Winnebago thought that a tube of toothpaste or a roll of dental floss falling underfoot is not nearly as dangerous as a can of corn from the kitchen. If you kneel on this wood under the bed, it will start cracking. Since there's no backing on any of the doors or cabinets, things are constantly falling into the area where the pump is or behind tight spaces. All the wood in the trailer is unfinished, so it stains really easily and you can't get the stains out. The doorstep has these channels which fill up with water, and it bows in the middle, but Winnebago put drain holes on the end. I guess they didn't know water flows downhill, so we put extra holes in the middle so the water drains from the doorstep. There are USB ports above the kitchen sink, so you can put your cell phone on this ledge and it can fall into the kitchen sink water. And there are USB ports on the far side of the bed so that you have to crawl all the way across to plug something in. There are none on the dinette table where you would use them the most. These end caps come out while driving, so I have to constantly kick them back in. Yeah, I have a lot of extra end caps. As you can see, the Winnebago lettering is falling off the trailer, which I don't really mind that much at this point because I don't want to advertise for Winnebago, seeing as how I despise them so much. And that brings us to number 50. Last, but far from least, and possibly the most annoying of all, this hatch, whenever it's mildly windy, well, this problem literally speaks for itself. Yeah. You're awful, Winnebago. And I hate you. All right, that's it. Stop filming. I need a beer.